From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MVW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
And broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Welcome to this Monday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal McCready, Clark Ford at studio this morning. We'll talk a good bit of football and whatever else comes to our minds over the next hour or so. The podcast is brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon. When you're coming into town on that side of town, stop in and take advantage of the ribs. Whatever time of the day, they'll be wrapped up, ready to go for you, wet or dry. Your choice there with the Oxford Exxon. Daiquiris as low as $3.99. As big as 44 ounces if you so wish. A lot of flavors to choose from, including the lunch specials at $4.99 as well every single day. 2 sides bread, 32-ounce drink, and save some money at the pump. You got the mobile rewards program, the Speed Pass Plus app, and more. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number. You call that number. You ask for Corey Clark, and you tell Corey what new Ford you're looking for. It's that simple. It's right to the bottom line. There's no hassle, no haggle. You get your quote, and the rest is kind of up to you. You can let it be a baseline for you moving forward, or you can get yourself into a Ford product today. You'll love it. You get a great product. You get tremendous service after the sale, everything you could possibly want in a car dealer. Corey wants to be your truck guy. He wants to be your car guy. He'll prove it to you. 662-257-1900.
We had Media Day on Thursday, as everybody knows. There was a viewing opportunity on Friday. I'm sure they did practice over the course of the weekend. Media was not invited to that. And then another gathering today. There's content from all those things up at rebelgrove.com. You can find that there. But, Neal, I ask you here, without giving a whole lot away, what was let's do it this way. On Friday, as they went through drills, what were sort of the impressions of the coordinators, how they handled things, how they handled practice, that kind of thing?
I don't know. It was, Rich Rodriguez is a pretty fiery guy. He was pretty tame. He was informing them that he was only going to tolerate a certain amount of screw-up before he held them to a higher standard. And then I spent most of my time in offense. I was trying to get some video so people could kind of get a look at the part of practice that we see. So I was more focused on that than I was anything. If anything, my phone was getting overheated, and so I couldn't quite see the screen when I was shooting the video. And then on defense, when I went over there, they were in a sort of a teaching period, and Mike McIntyre was just sort of – it was like being in a classroom a little bit. He was kind of professorial, kind of explaining some of the, mechanics of the defense to what appeared to be some of the new guys. So – it was the first practice in just helmets. There was not a whole hell of a lot of contact, obviously, and it was a lot of teaching. And they practiced on Saturday. As you said, we weren't invited to that practice. They took Sunday off. They're taking Sundays off in August, and then they'll get back at it today in shoulder pads for the first time, and they'll be in full pads for the first time on Wednesday.
It's what's kind of lost for a lot of people just because of it starting back is that it's an acclimation time during these first few days. And then also so much of the task when you're starting out is just, hey, how much retention has happened, especially with the new offenses and new defenses that were just implemented in the spring. Obviously, it's a little easier now because there's more availability during the summer to frankly not put on a ruse and just kind of have practice in a way that it is possible a little more than in the past. But still, at this point, you're going to spend a week, especially with a lot of young kids, just figuring out what they remember, what you can do, and kind of what your baseline is moving forward from an installation standpoint. Because it does take a little while, no matter what, to remember everything, to get back into that rhythm. And I still think that's probably the pattern that they're in right now.
Yeah, I think the acclimation really is limited to adjusting to the speed and pace of a practice. They've practiced all summer. They've been in meetings. The installation is way ahead of where it used to be. I've had people say, why are they taking Sundays off? Well, because you don't want to grind them into the ground. And quite frankly, you don't really need 30 preseason practices. You practiced all summer. It's totally different than how it was. I mean, even 10 years ago, where a lot of guys didn't report until second summer term. Newcomers a lot of times didn't get there until July or even August. They've all been there since the end of May. They've been through 2 months of a conditioning program. They've been to numerous, quote, voluntary, end quote, practices, 3 times a week. They've been in meetings with position coaches. A lot of that's happened. Now you just have to adjust to, okay, here's the pace of a college practice. Here's the pace of a day inside a college program. And for newcomers, that's the adjustment. And then for the coaches, it's a little bit of kind of making sure that you're figuring out your rep distribution and starting the process of figuring out who can do what.
At least that, even coaches maneuvering with each other is a little bit of a thing, but at least they had the spring to kind of figure that out, so that's not as big of a deal. But yeah, we've talked about this. They're going to lock it down. They're not going to show us a lot. I don't think fans are getting anything the entire fall camp. However, we know what Rich Rod runs. We know what McIntyre is trying to run. Is this, hey, let's just keep out basically misinformation from us not knowing what the crap we're looking at the time? Is what do you think the goal is of some of the lockdown that we think makes a lot of sense? I have no problem with it, but what do you think necessarily the goal of it is?
I think it's lock it down from people who could accidentally put stuff out that they don't want out. If you open it up to the public, you open it up to the public. And everybody's got a cell phone. People start videoing stuff. You can't watch hundreds of people at one time. And stuff gets back to, I joked around. I was on the practice field. I joked around with Tyler Siskey. They were running some offense stuff, and I pretended to be on the phone with Norvell. And he laughed because he realized even if you put me on the phone with the Memphis coaching staff and I'm out there watching practice and they said, "What do you see?" I would not be able to give them any information that would help them at all.
They would ask you questions that you had no ability to answer.
Yeah, they're running a jet sweep to the left. They're running a little toss to the right. I don't know. They got 5 linemen. What are the receivers doing? I don't know. I was watching the ball. It's just the truth. So I don't know. I don't want to go to an entire football practice. I've been through this before. There's very little that I can get from it that I can relay to the people who pay me for the information. The odds of me getting it wrong, extremely high. I could report about, hey, who made an interception here or who made a play there, and that would be of interest to the people who subscribe. But in terms of really giving quality X and O stuff, that's not my strength. My strength is I can write. I can tell a story. I can report. I am not a football coach. When I watch football games, I suspect I'm like the overwhelming majority of you. I played high school football. That was the end of my high school career. It was the end of my football career. I played in one charity game in college. When I watch football, I watch the ball. I watch the ball.
After the first series.
Yeah, I disciplined myself to watch the first series at the line of scrimmage, and then I watch the ball because that's just how people watch football. So I don't know. They lock it down because if you open it up, even to just your media, media's changed now. There's people out there that so desperately want to be known as football experts that I don't know that you could completely stop them from giving away information that perhaps didn't need to be given away. And so that's why I've said this before. I'm never going to complain about access stuff. As long as it's consistent across the board with media, I'm cool with it. The stories that we're telling as they get ready to play Memphis is not, hey, here's the specifics of what they're installing for that game. I'm number one, I don't want to go there. And number two, I don't really know that I would be able to adequately do it. What I can do is after a game is over, I can talk to people who do understand football at a sophisticated level, get them to explain to me what happened, and then me turn around and put it into layman's terms so that someone who doesn't really understand football any better than I do can then say, oh, okay, well, this is why that worked, or this is why that didn't work, or whatnot.
It's fair.
That's why I like, I love a lot of the stuff that The Athletic does. Sahadev Sharma did a breakdown. I put it in 10 Thoughts. He did a breakdown of why the Cubs have struggled at the plate with high fastballs and breaking down specifically different people who have their chase rates gone up. And so it's helped me watch the game on television differently. I'm like, okay, he's susceptible to a high pitch and all that kind of stuff. He's able to put that into terms that I understand as someone who doesn't sit around and study baseball analytics for a living.
You've been high on him the whole time, haven't you?
He's phenomenal. He's so good. And then he can also tell a story about the people that I'm watching, which quite frankly is
that's it. That is it.
Yeah. I mean, you wrote about Jerry and Ely and the stuff that that went behind his decision and some of the decision that was kind of made for him and his emotions about it. To me, that's far more interesting than how they're implementing Jerry and Ely in the 30 minutes of practice that we get to watch, which is just drills that everybody's running the same part of practice. We're not seeing any real team stuff. It's like, I don't think I'm giving anything away here. The stuff that we saw the other day, like if I were to say, okay, X and O's and diagram that out, that's the stuff that Memphis, those guys get paid too. Their coaches get paid. They know that those plays are in Rich Rodriguez's playbook. I mean, Rich Rodriguez has been calling plays virtually every year since 1985-ish. So there's kind of some film. And, they know the general skeleton of his offense. He's not going to totally reform his offensive schematics this offseason. He's going to – I wrote about this in 10 Thoughts. He's going to implement – he's going to mold his offense around the talents of the players that he has rather than try to shove Matt Corral into a slot. We do we talk about Pinnacle Trust in a little while, about how they sit down with an individual and come up with a retirement plan that's unique for that individual. They don't take a retirement plan and go, okay, well, you most match this, so here's the one you're in. That's what Rodriguez does. He says, okay, here's what I've got. Now here's what we're going to do. But, I mean, if you're at Memphis or Arkansas or California, the teams that play Ole Miss early in the season, and you're doing your early scout, you have a general feel for what Ole Miss is going to try to do. You have a general feel. They're not going in. Memphis is not going into the game going, oh my God, I don't have any idea what these guys are going to do, what they're going to look like on offense. That's foolish. He's been at Tulane and Clemson and West Virginia and Michigan and Arizona. There's a lot of film to look at and go, okay, well, this is generally what the offense is going to look at. These are his first down tendencies, his second down tendencies, his third down tendencies. This is what their passing game generally looks like. This is how they use the quarterback as a runner. I mean, now will Rodriguez be able to throw some wrinkles at Memphis specifically that they probably aren't prepared for? Of course. In much the same way that Memphis's defensive coordinator is going to be able to probably throw some stuff at Rodriguez early that maybe he wasn't 100% sure that's what he'd seen. But I was talking to coaches the other day, and they said, here's the thing. After 2 games, max, every team on Ole Miss's roster will know what's coming. In the same way that Ole Miss will know by week 3, week 4, Ole Miss will know everything California is doing on offense. Everything. It'll be a matter of executing it, getting in the right place, making plays. it all comes back to football players. It's why coaching's not overrated, but at the end of the day, it's players that win and lose games.
Taking it full circle, those wrinkles that you're mentioning, we wouldn't be able to identify them anyway.
No.
You can see them and have no idea what those wrinkles actually were. And yeah, you mentioned that. That's what Memphis is going to do. They have watched cut-ups and film of everything that Rodriguez has done as a primary play caller, and he's been doing that at the Division I level since 1997. He was at Tulane in 97, 98, Clemson, and then obviously West Virginia, Michigan, Arizona, and Ole Miss. So, yeah, I mean, and there's going to be, he has a base thing, and those base things are going to be what then they operate everything out of. So, I mean, yeah, there's no doubt about that. It's not a thing where Memphis is going to be unprepared. It's not any of that. It just takes variables out. And when you've got fall camp going, or August camp, I refuse to say fall, I'm trying really hard here. August camp going on, just take as many variables out. There's no reason. There's no positive to it right now, and I think that's really the bottom line of where we're at with this thing.
Yeah, I think that's right. But what you said is true. I mean, if unless someone stood with me at practice and said, "Hey, watch this. Here's what's going to happen here," I wouldn't see it. But I absolutely. There are people in the media who whine and complain and stuff because they crave the access for reasons that I don't understand. I completely get it. And where I come from on it is, if you let me cover practice, I'm going to report anything that I see. And if you don't want it reported, well, then just don't let me there. I'm good with that. Like, I don't like at some point, and I hope this doesn't happen this year. It's happened under various coaches. There's enough complaining, and after a little while, they're like, "Hey, you guys can stay if you want, but now this stuff's off limits." Then why am I staying? I'm now taking off my reporter cap and putting on my fan cap, putting on my I just like football cap. I don't like that as a reporter. So if I'm there as a reporter. And if I'm not there, great. That's where you use the word "said" a lot. Luke said they did this. He said they did that. I can't confirm it independently. I take him at his word, but I'm going to use the word "said." It's inside sports writing stuff. It doesn't matter. Like I've said many times, when they play Memphis at 11 o'clock on the 31st, when the game begins, I'm willing to go out on a limb here and guess that the score will be 0-0.
Yeah. Talk more football in 1 second. Before we do that, we'll tell you about Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. Underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. You're getting local underwriting that understands your market, a leader in condo financing, and the float down option, which allows you to lock in the current rate. But if rates go down before you close, you get that lower rate. Also, interest rates about as low as they've been in the last 2 years. So maybe if you refinanced, if you bought during that time period, time to look at it again. You can find Jason at 662-234-2704 or JLOWE@communitymtg.com.
If you can't make it to Oxford until football season, which is getting here pretty closer, don't fret. Blue Delta is always on the road. They can come to you. It's the best way to keep up with them is Blue Delta Jeans on Twitter or Instagram. If you want to set up a corporate get-together, if you want to set up a house show, if you want to set up an in-home show, a private setting, you can do that. Send them an email, info@bluedeltajeans.com, info@bluedeltajeans.com. We'll have some details as to where they're going to be. I know they're going to be in Nashville this coming Friday, August the 9th. So if you're in the Nashville area and you want to get in touch with Blake and Nick and the people at Blue Delta, send them an email, info@bluedeltajeans.com. The podcast is also brought to you by our newest sponsor, Home 2 Suites by Hilton Oxford, located at the intersection of South Lamar and Belt Boulevard. As the newest Hilton property in Oxford, this all-suite hotel is proud to be locally owned and operated by Ole Miss alumni. Home 2 Suites is only 1.5 miles from the Grove and offers complimentary shuttle service on game weekends. Rooms are still available for all home games, and Home 2 Suites is the perfect hotel for Rebel fans. Every room Comes with a full-size refrigerator, freezer, dishwasher, and microwave, plus all of the basic kitchen supplies you might need to whip up your favorite tailgate foods. There's also a pull-out sofa in each room, offering an extra bed or space to sit and relax. Guests will enjoy complimentary breakfast each morning, free Wi-Fi. It's a pet-friendly hotel. They even have a designated pet pit stop, making it easy to travel with your furry friends. Extended rate stays are available, and Hilton Honors points can be earned and redeemed for bookings. For more information or to book a room, call 662-238-3400 or visit their website, home2oxford.home2suitesbyhilton.com. You can follow them on Instagram and Facebook to see exclusive offers and pictures of the property. Home 2 Suites by Hilton Oxford. We are your home, too. The podcast is also brought to you by Dead Soxy. The hot weather is absolutely here. With it comes the inevitable debate of sock or no sock with your loafers. So save your feet and your shoes from making their own impression and get into the summer with some no-shows from Dead Soxy today. You really need to experience the difference a quality sock makes. It's the first step in dressing for the job you want, not the job you have. Go to deadsoxy.com, enter the code REBELGROVE at checkout to get 30% off all orders, including sale items. These no-shows are the same quality you already love and enjoy with their traditional dress sock, and they come with the no-slip guarantee. Deadsoxy.com, promo code REBELGROVE at checkout for 30% off all orders. Don't miss 1 minute of the action at the Vault this season as Ole Miss football arrives September the 7th when Arkansas rolls into town. Reserve your season tickets today with the new 2019 season ticket pricing for just $299. For more information, visit OleMissTix.com. That's OleMissTix.com. Meet the Rebels Day is Saturday. You can get more details at OleMissSports.com. I mentioned Pinnacle Trust a minute ago. Told you how that works. They were founded in 1997. They represent clients in more than 20 states. They provide detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and so much more. They treat investing like a commodity. Decisions are made using objective information and research, not emotions. So regardless of your level of wealth, Pinnacle Trust will sit down with you, listen to your goals, study your expenses, and put forth a comprehensive, detailed, and retirement plan built just for you. Pintrust.com, P-I-N-N Trust.com. Mention you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the podcast. You'll get 10% off your first year's fee. And I'll be soliciting questions for the mailbag later today. The mailbag is brought to you by the Westin Jackson. It's a Marriott property there in downtown Jackson. You can accrue or use your Marriott rewards points there. You can also visit Soul Spots, the ultimate luxury spa experience in downtown Jackson. And you can gather at Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro, sip on a creative craft cocktail, or enjoy their curated wine list. It's open for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. And Chef Caden's mission is to connect guests with the community through local partnerships. So gather at Estelle tonight.
I noted a couple weeks ago, just kind of stumbling on it, how the quarterbacks in the SEC this season, unproven, not a lot of big names, not guys that people know, especially relative to the last few years. I'm seeing a list here. This is per Saturday Down South. They just kind of did some rankings of the quarterbacks. I'm not worried about what their rankings are. But just going through these names again, I'm kind of seeing the same thing. It's a huge opportunity for Matt Corral, frankly, if Ole Miss can be competitive to good on offense, if they kind of become a story as they get bowl eligible or try to get bowl eligible, to really sort of make a name for himself. Because I'm looking through this a little bit, and you've got Tua Tagovailoa, obviously. You've got Jake Fromm. And then, and I'm not crazy about Fromm. He's just okay to me. After that, here's the list. Tell me anybody of these guys that you're just buying to the point that you're all in on. You got Kellen Mond at Texas A&M. You got Joe Burrow at LSU, who they've got number 4 on the list simply because he's a name they know, if you want to be honest about it. Kelly Bryant. Do what?
Burrow finished the season pretty well.
He's okay.
Most of the year, he was just
He's okay for what LSU needs him to be.
Yeah, at the end of the year, he did have a couple of games where he made some really good throws.
And the more big thing is just don't screw it up. Let somebody else handle it because it's LSU. So, Kelly Bryant, 5. Not a bad quarterback, but he did lose his gig to a freshman. I get it's Trevor Lawrence. I understand all that, but point stands.
Yeah, he lost his gig to perhaps a generational talent. I'm not gonna hold that against him. He was a pretty good quarterback at Clemson. I am interested to see him. I would take him before I would take Burrow.
Oh, I would too. I might even take him ahead of mine.
He lost his gig to Trevor Lawrence. I'm not sure there's a quarterback in the country that could have held Trevor Lawrence off.
Yeah, especially given all the attention and notoriety and all that stuff.
Just given the skill level.
Well, yeah, he's good. No argument. Then after that, though, here this is really the fall off. This is kind of where I'm getting at. They've got 6 Felipe Franks. I didn't even know that dude was still there.
Yeah, and he's okay.
He's okay.
He does for me. He makes a throw here and there.
Jared Guarantano, Tennessee.
Does some things that I like. He's kind of inconsistent. There's a skill set there. I've seen him have some series where he makes some plays. He's got a pretty good deep ball throw. His decision making sometimes is questionable.
The guy who hasn't taken that step that I've been a little wrong on, honestly. I think I liked him more than the results have shown. South Carolina's Jake Bentley.
I don't know. He was awfully good in Oxford. Of course, that was against Ole Miss's defense, and quite frankly, last year most everybody was good against that defense. And that's not a slap. It's just true. Bentley's good. He's not – he doesn't blow you away. But if you told me he had a pretty good year, I'd buy it.
Terry Wilson's the new guy at Kentucky. Tommy Stevens or Keontae Thompson, can't speak, at Mississippi State. That feels like Stevens, though, because if you bring him in, you're going to play him, right?
Oh, it's Stevens.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's what I think, too. Penn State transfer. Obviously has some experience with Joe Moorhead.
Yeah, couldn't get on the field at Penn State. That's probably worth noting. The fact that they brought him in tells you, in my opinion, what Moorhead really. It's kind of like when Freeze finally brought in Kelly. Freeze didn't want to bring in Kelly. He fought that for a long time because of the optics. He finally brought him in because he just decided he didn't have a quarterback on campus. And I suspect that Moorhead's the same spot. I don't know that Stevens is a bad kid or anything, but he probably would have preferred to have not gone the grad transfer route, but he decided that he had to.
Which, again, very much worth noting.
Of course.
If you feel like you need a quarterback, you don't have a quarterback. You don't bring in a transfer to be the number 2.
No.
You don't decide you need depth and go out and grab Tommy Stevens because of it.
Miami didn't go get Tate Martell so that he could compete for the job.
Yeah. I don't know. Houston Nutt made Jeremiah Masoli compete for the job.
Yeah, I'll never. Where's Nutt coaching these days?
I don't know. I forget.
It was dumb. He should have handed him the keys day one. Now, he wasn't cleared until the day before that game.
Yeah. There were some extenuating circumstances.
There were, although, I mean, I would have given Masoli the ball somewhere. I might have let Stanley start the first game and play one series, and then I was giving Masoli the ball.
What's Auburn doing, Gatewood or Nix?
I think they're going to go with Gatewood out of the gate, pardon the pun. Nix is highly acclaimed. Has a big-time arm. But, man, you throw a true freshman in there, week 1. Hey, we're playing Oregon National Television in the Cowboy Stadium. You were playing high school ball this time a year ago. Go. That's a lot to ask.
And while I'm not overly high on him and I wouldn't want my NFL team taking him, on the other side of the field it's Herbert, who's going to be a top draft pick in a few months.
Yeah, he's the exact opposite. He's not going to be intimidated by that environment or by Auburn. He's seen good teams. Probably want a slightly older. I think Auburn's in danger in that game, although Auburn's defense is really good. Their front seven's really good. It's going to throw looks at Oregon that they just don't see very often.
Who do you like in that game a month out?
I think I like Auburn just because of their defensive skill set, but I think it could go either way. It's a big game for Auburn.
A loss really just puts Malzahn right there on the cusp of that thing turning bad with one more bad game after that. Just sets it up for a disaster.
Sure.
I don't want to be too hyperbolic, but
well, no, but they still have games fairly early in the season against Mississippi State and Texas A&M. Those are games they could win, games that they could conceivably lose. I mean, he gets off to a bad start with Alabama and Georgia looming on the schedule. It goes to hell fast. They got to play LSU. They got to play Florida. I mean, they have a difficult schedule.
Matt Corral, obviously, and then Arkansas's got to decide between Nick Starkel and Ben Hicks.
Yeah, and I hear different things, which usually means they don't have a quarterback. But it's awfully early. I mean, in fairness to Chad Morris and everybody else, they've had.
You would guess Hicks to start the season if I just had to guess.
He knows the system. Here's their thing: is that they're still pretty stacked at running back. They've got some guys who can run the football. I like Devois Whaley. I think he's a good player. They're still trying to get the personnel in place to do the offense that Morris would like to run. And they still have a lot of the personnel that would allow them to run the football. They ran the football pretty effectively against a number of teams last year. That's just kind of not what they really want to do.
And then finally, a game that Ole Miss certainly needs to win this season at Vanderbilt. It's Riley Neal or Deuce Wallace.
If you had given me 100 guesses to name the Vanderbilt quarterback, I wouldn't have gotten it.
Either one?
Neither one.
I think I would have pulled Deuce Wallace. Before last week, when I started looking at things, I had no clue on Riley Neal. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've ever heard of either player.
Really?
Yeah. I look at the Vanderbilt game and go, W. I'll be honest. If the football gods came down right now and said, hey, Neal, Ole Miss loses to Vanderbilt, I'm running to Vegas and taking the under. I mean, literally, I'm getting in the plane. I just think that's a win.
If they lose to Vanderbilt, it is that Corral is not on schedule like we even think he is. It's that, and that Vanderbilt defensively, which can do some things at times, no doubt. They confuse him, they hit him, there's problems. So that could be offensive line related, that could be Corral related, but it's something along those lines for sure. And then the other thing is that Vanderbilt, while look, I'm not big on Neal or Wallace, I'm not expecting anything. It doesn't seem like they have tons at wide receiver that's going to change games or anything like that. They do have Keyshawn Vaughn, though, one of the better running backs in the league. They always seem to have a back. He's pretty dynamic. It means Ole Miss can't stop the run again, and Vanderbilt just gashes them on the ground. One of those two things, or both, are the reason Ole Miss loses to Vanderbilt if that happens.
So you're telling me that a lot of Ole Miss's success or lack thereof.
Oh, shut up. Stopping the run and quarterback play, right? See, that's what you get on this podcast. That's what you get, Neal.
You're telling me that
analysis is if the quarterback play sucks and they can't stop the run, they're not going to win many football games.
You're telling me that a lot of Ole Miss's games are going to be determined at the line of scrimmage?
And by quarterback play.
And by the quarterback play?
Yeah.
Yeah. I tell you what. That is breaking. No, but you're right. I mean, they couldn't stop the run last year. It stopped them from getting off the field. They have to be better against the run, period. And
like most SEC teams, Vanderbilt does have a really good back.
Yeah, and
he'll have no tread on the tires at the end of the season because they can't throw the football. But right
Ole Miss needs Matt Corral to play like an experienced quarterback early, and it needs its offensive line to function. I mean, I watched them on Friday. I spent the majority of the practice watching the offensive line because, frankly, it's the question mark. And I'm working on a story that I'm hoping to have done in the next 24 hours or so. That's kind of what I watched. Offensive line play. And they are really trying to develop youth. Broker, James. Michael Howard was starting right tackle the other day. And I know Givens isn't out there, but hey, if Givens isn't out there right now, you have to go with what you've got. So when people go, well, he's not the starting tackle. Well, he was in practice on Friday.
1 week of setback, and Alex Givens won't play against Memphis.
All right. Now listen, let's be careful here because people are going to take this and go, McCready said, I'm not saying. But someone who's around the program a lot said he wouldn't be surprised if Givens isn't ready until Alabama. Now, that is not what the program says. That is not what Matt Luke says. That is not what Jack Bicknell has said. That's not what anybody has said. But it is a back injury, back surgery, and those things can be problematic. And I don't think they're going to rush him back if he's not ready to go and him have a setback that cost him 6, 7, 8 weeks or the season for that matter. And it's not as simple as, hey, he's missed 4 weeks. All right, here's your uniform. Memphis at 11. Is he in football shape? Is he in shape? I don't know what he's able to do right now. How much running is he able to do? What kind of shape is he going to be in when he gets cleared to play? I think it's unrealistic. At the very least, it's unrealistic to expect him to go out there and take 80 snaps against Memphis on August 31st. I think that's foolish. I don't think that's realistic at all.
Yeah, so the rotation that you're seeing right now, the guys you're seeing, that is going to be most likely the guys that are there at some semblance of the game that they, even if Givens is available, is kind of what we're saying.
Yeah. Michael Howard.
All these guys they have to play.
Michael Howard hasn't played a lot. He's going to have to play against Memphis. Nick Broker hasn't played at all. He's going to have to play against Memphis. Eli Johnson hasn't played a lot. Injuries and such. He's being counted on to play.
Matt wants Jeremy James to play immediately.
Yeah, and if he can't play, Bryce Matthews is moving to center, which means somebody else is having to move in and play a lot. It is and they know it. Now, they have a chip on their shoulder about it, and that's good. But it is the question mark. On a team that has multiple question marks, it is the question mark on that team. What can they do up front?
And we can't answer that question until Memphis.
No.
Hard to even really simulate it. I mean, Matt talked about that in his opening press conference on Thursday. He said, look, they're going to go against Coatney and Benito and guys that are SEC-capable defensive linemen. But at the end of the day, you've got to just simulate it best you can, and all you can do is put them out there in scrimmage situations. I think he said get the coaches off the field, meaning don't give them any instruction and just see where it goes. See what kind of mistakes they made and hope over the course of a month they get a lot of that out of their system and they're ready to go when they head to the Liberty Bowl on August 31st. That's it. That's all you can do.
In an ideal world, you have a defensive coordinator that's not installing a new defense, that the defense has been installed for years, and he's able to throw some looks at young guys, new guys, to see where you stand. But he's on the other side trying to install a defense at the same time. Everything's scripted, and it's all going to work out. They're going to throw stuff. They're going to get all this work in, but it's more complicated. Rodriguez talked about that. It's in 10 Thoughts today. He talked about how it's, in many ways, everybody on the team is a freshman this year. His exact quote was, "You can't know what you don't know." They're throwing it. It's all new. This is not the same offense that Scotty Phillips and Matt Corral and Alex Givens and those guys practiced last year. This is not the offensive scheme that Ben Brown played last year. It's new. Now, they have a lot of game experience, and that helps a ton. But it is still a new scheme.
We'll continue to discuss this, I'm sure, throughout the rest of the month leading up to the Liberty Bowl, as I mentioned, on August 31st. We'll switch gears in 1 second. First, I'll tell you about Mastercut's Lawn and Landscape. Premium lawn care throughout northern Mississippi, but a lot more as well. They build your custom playgrounds, retaining walls, pool decks, outdoor living spaces for whatever you want, including paver patios and forestry mulching, starting at just $100 an hour. The path to your dream backyard, easier than you think. Online at GoMastercuts.com. You get a free quote, or that same free quote, at 662-607-7773. Again, GoMastercuts.com.
Podcast also brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. If you're thinking about putting together a trip that you want to remember for a long time, thinking about a getaway, get in touch with John. Many of you already have. People have booked long weekends at Orange Beach, a fall trip to Greenbrier, a trip for moms and sons to Alaska, a vacation at Wagasett Resort in Massachusetts. People have done a Holy Land cruise from Athens to Rome with stops in the Greek Isles and Jerusalem and Tel Aviv and more. A lot of you have taken advantage of John's connections, and you can too. Give him a call, 901-494-3387. Send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. You just give him some parameters, give him a budget. He'll give you options that you won't find on your own, and you don't have to live in Memphis to take advantage of his services. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast. Podcast also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, Grenada Nissan's the place to go. They have a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles. Go in, test drive one today. Tell Gene and Sandy you heard about Grenada Nissan on the podcast, or at rebelgrove.com. You'll get Rebel savings on top of the already great deals at Grenada Nissan. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. We're also brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX legacy realty agent. He's been in Oxford well over 4 decades, and he's a big part of Savannah Square. It's a new 9-acre development, 0.7 of a mile from the Oxford downtown square, conveniently located east of North Lamar, just a short stroll from the Midtown Shopping Center. You can check it out at 215 William Street. That's where the model home is. That's where you can see all the wonderful layouts, the impeccable finishes that are available to you. You can view more at SavannahSquareOxford.com. And you can give Harry a call or a text at 662-801-5621. Podcast also brought to you by Oxford University Bank, OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you can want, all with the personal touch. And OUB also offers its customers the absolute best cash checking account. It's called Kasasa. And with Kasasa, OUB will pay customers 2.5% interest on their balances up to $50,000 and refund ATM fees nationwide. To learn more about OUB, check out liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured. And we're brought to you by 7 South Tailgating. As we told you earlier, as you know by now, football is almost here. So is tailgating. 7 South Tailgating is owned and operated by husband-wife duo Kyle and Jordan Thornton. They're both Ole Miss alums, Oxford locals. What started as a way to pay for college has become the greatest tailgating service provider at Ole Miss. The team at 7 South are rebels through and through. They take pride in the Grove and the impact their service has on protecting, preserving, and enriching the Ole Miss game day tailgating tradition. You can call them directly at 662-321-1682 or visit 7southtailgating.com.
Podcast also brought to you by G&M Pharmacy there on South Lamar and Oxford. They deliver local to your home or workplace. They also offer MedSync, which means they fill your prescriptions on the same day every month. Make it easy for you. Make sure you have the medicine you need when you need it. One trip, one delivery is all it takes there with Tyson Drugs and G&M. You can find out more at 662-236-2222 to transfer your medications or to find out about the sildenafil that they are offering, which is a brand alternative and a better product than some of those you are more familiar with. Get you ready in about 15 minutes. You can take those pills, separate them into half or quarters for whatever strength there is needed. So again, 662-236-2222. What's going on with Jamin Brakefield in your opinion? No?
He's taking his time. He's going to look at some schools. He's going to look at Louisville. I think he's still kind of waiting to see what happens with Kansas, with Kentucky. He visited Ole Miss. I think it went well. I haven't talked to him. He's consistently talked about Ole Miss. He spent a lot of time this summer in Mississippi. So what is interesting is that I don't think he's in any hurry at all. As of right now, he's saying he's going to wait till April to sign.
Is that uncommon, or is that becoming more common? How does that fall on the basketball recruit scale of when to do what?
It's fairly uncommon. It's not shockingly uncommon. Most guys get it done early, and he very well might decide to get it done early. But there are guys that wait and let the season play out, let all the coaching changes happen and stuff, and let guys declare for the NBA and see if that opens scholarship opportunities and that kind of thing. I mean, Ole Miss would obviously love to sign him in November and have it done, but they'll wait till April.
A lot of, obviously interest because of where he's ranked, what kind of player he is, don't get me wrong. But it seems like this is such the big recruit to just kind of break that seal for Ole Miss because, frankly, without, unless there's kids with just a connection, only got a couple of those, a Justin Reed or some semblance like that, they've never really signed this kind of kid. So it's a lot like anything. It's from a program standpoint. It's, getting to a bowl game for the first time under new staff. It's all these different things. You kind of need it to happen to make it happen. Again, it's a little bit of chicken or the egg, but it feels like that's what's going on with Brakefield with this basketball team right now.
I think that's fair. Some people interpret that sentiment as, skepticism or cynicism, and it's really not. But it's just Ole Miss has flirted with these kind of guys before and haven't gotten them. You got to get one. And
once you get one, it's easier to get the next one.
Yeah, finishing second isn't the same as finishing first. Duh, but it's true.
Yeah.
And until you land these kinds of players, it's why we get these hypothetical questions in the mailbag all the time. And I like them. I like hypotheticals. I think they're fun. They say, okay, if I tell you that one of the coaches on campus is going to win a national title in the next 10 years, which coach would you say that is? And I'm always like, well, if you're going to do that, I got to say Bianco, right? Because they've gotten close a few times. Ole Miss basketball's never been, at least when I've covered them, never been close to a national title. There was one moment in, 2014, where they were a Jarvis Summers bucket away from being able to dream about it. And football's been in the ballpark of being able to talk about it a couple of times. But who's been consistently there? It's football. And when people go, well, Kermit's he's going to get there. I'm like,
you mean baseball?
Yeah. I'm not saying Kermit's not going to get there. I'm just saying, but to get there, here's what's not going to happen. This reality. He's not going to coach up a bunch of kids to a title. You're going to have some elite players, bucket getters, guys who can go make it happen. And now he might scheme his way to something with guys like that, but you have to have the players.
I think that's probably very fair. Yeah. The basketball tournament brings more teams into it, but it brings teams that have the talent to get it done into it.
Yeah.
You're not just going to will your way to how many ever wins that is. 6.
No. You got to have players because there's going to come a moment in the tournament where a guy's got to just go make plays.
Yeah, you can stumble your way to a win, maybe even 2 wins, in crazy Cinderella 3. But at some point, you got to have the players to win the title.
Look at Auburn this last year. I know he got hurt, but in that game that he got hurt against Kansas, they couldn't stop Okeke.
Was it Kansas?
And then the next,
or was it North Carolina?
Yeah, then when they played Kentucky, when Auburn played Kentucky, it was a hell of a tournament run by Auburn.
Yeah.
When they played Kentucky, the 2 guards, Brown and I can't think of the other kid's name. Only covered him for 4 years. They made plays, got buckets. You got to have players who can get you buckets. So, yeah, they've got to get a Jamin Brakefield. They've got to finish the deal on Sean Robinson. They've got to land those kinds of players. Absolutely.
We'll put links and graphics to this up on the site at Rebel Grove, and stories and content items will move forward throughout August camp. However, I will tell you that if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, football season has gotten here, and you're thinking about jumping in at rebelgrove.com. Rivals making that a little easier for your decision. Got an offer going right now where you get the first year of an annual subscription at 25% off the normal price, and then following that payment to get the site, users will receive $75 to the Adidas store. So not the fan shop, the Adidas store to get gear there. So again, $75 to Adidas and 25% off the normal price of your subscription to rebelgrove.com. So again, we'll put some links up, whatever, but just if you're ready to take that plunge, little extra incentive to make that happen, and that will run the next couple weeks here on the Rivals.com network. I think I covered that correctly, right?
I think you did.
Is that right?
I think so. Like you said,
sometimes there's a little minutia there, but I think that's right.
We'll put up some links and stuff. People can take advantage of it as we dive into our first full week of camp coverage this week.
Yeah, it's really kind of getting started now. The schedule's a little more set, and it's pretty routine. Also, every practice until school starts in the morning. I think 10:45. Is that right, Neal?
That is correct.
I thought I heard that. So
that is accurate.
I saw the Saints got about 12,000 people at a practice at Tulane last night. I'm not there yet. I'm close. I was talking to a buddy about it yesterday, and he was like, "Hey, I've been in for a month. I'm all in." I said, "I'll get there. I don't know. It always takes kind of week one for me to fully lock in. It's what's changed for me, and it's not about losses to the Rams or the Vikings or any of that stuff. Just in general, I don't have a lot of preseason excitement for much anymore. It's kind of got to get here and hit me right between the eyes before I lock into it. And maybe it's because I cover sports for a living. I think that's what it is.
It is.
It's not an escape the way it is for if I was doing something else.
No. Well, I mean,
it will become an escape. I'll really enjoy my Sundays and all that stuff, but right now it's not. It's not real yet.
Yeah, it's still 4 weeks from this Thursday when they start the season. Is that right?
I think that's right.
NFL might be, I guess it's 4 weeks. So it's still a ways away. I mean, like today, the college season's still 26 days away. It's a lot of days.
And all the gnashing of teeth with Michael Thomas, I just said they're going to sign him. They can't risk not signing him, so they're going to sign him. I don't know what the number's going to be, but they're going to make the numbers manipulate up to what Thomas wants them to be, which is $20 million a year, which makes him that $100 million man. They're going to get it done. Yeah, I never for 1 second thought they're not going to sign Michael Thomas.
The two happiest people in the world were the three: Drew Brees, Michael Thomas, and Julio Jones, who said, cha-ching!
Yeah.
So that's my starting point, huh? Awesome. I guarantee you Julio Jones texted Michael Thomas and said, "Hey, congrats, man.
And thank you."
Thank you.
Yeah. Because this one's real easy now for Julio's agent.
Yeah, he goes, okay, well, here's where we start.
Yeah. You saw that number, right? Okay.
And by the way, this won't be enough.
Yeah. Your division rival paid it. You ready?
Yeah. You probably don't want to go to free agency here, so let's get this done.
Yeah. Somebody will pay it, bud.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Atlanta will pay it.
They will.
And they know it.
Now for the Saints, it just when the time comes, you can't let Alvin Kamara go. That's it. That's the next one.
No, you got to get that done.
You got to lock him up too. Yeah, the Saints see the salary cap as just kind of a suggestion. It's not really a hard, real thing. Just whatever. We'll pay guys we traded 10 years ago. We'll pay them $12 million a year for a while. It's all good.
Well, they know their window is right now. It's right now.
It's still open as long as Breeze is fine.
Well, it's wide open right now. It's wide open. Their window is completely open. It's 100% open. It's maxed out open.
I'm still worried.
Well, sure. I mean, I had Chris Landry on. He talked about it on the beer garden. I mean, the Rams are good. The Bears are good. The Eagles are good. The Falcons are good. The Vikings are good. Drew Brees is 40 years old.
He is.
He'll be 41 by the time the playoffs roll around.
Sad news in the world of the NFL, by the way. Don Banks dying yesterday at 57. Died in his sleep in a Canton, Ohio hotel room. A longtime NFL writer for Sports Illustrated and a ton of people. Everybody listening has read his work at some point or another.
Yeah. You never know.
Had just started a job at the Review-Journal out of Las Vegas and was there in Canton doing a story on Hard Knocks about what the Browns learned from the experience as the Raiders are getting ready for it. And, yeah. He'd been with The Athletic, I think, most recently, if I have that right. So, just a thing there. Just happened to notice it. Yeah, you mentioned, the NFL, too. It's funny we do all this, and you know how this is going to work. There's going to be 10 teams, or not 10, there's going to be 2 or 3 teams that we don't mention we think are going to suck or end up like in the NFC title game or something. Parity is the NFL. It's one of the reasons that it's successful.
Yeah, that's why it works. Yeah, somebody will surprise. Somebody will be better than we anticipate them being. There will be injuries.
I think Carolina's better. I think Carolina might be better to at least screw up the South and make it a little funky.
Just depends on health. It's, Green Bay might be better than we think they're going to be.
Is it finally time for one of those teams that everybody always brags on to actually do something on the field like the 49ers or the Buccaneers or somebody like that?
Well, they all play last place schedules, and that gives them a chance. Maybe Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury shocked the world. Who knows? I don't know. It's probably not, but that's what makes that league. What makes that league interesting is that most games are close. Most games are competitive. They're pro players.
No one sucks. Relatively.
No one truly sucks.
Yeah, right. Relatively, but that's not what I mean.
Right.
Competent football players.
About 4 weeks away. It'll be interesting. I'll be dialed in on that first Thursday night, I think.
Well, of course you will.
I mean, being a lifetime Bears fan.
Of course, yeah. I mean, come on. That's
figure out what
that's been appointment viewing for decades, Neal. What?
Figure out what jersey to order. Do I go with an orange, or do I stick with the traditional navy, or do I get one of the throwback white jerseys that are pretty sexy?
Did you
a lot of stuff.
Did you skip Bachelor in Paradise? Are we going to take are we going to take this season off?
Not watching that.
Okay, that's too much for you. We found your line now. Is that what I'm saying?
It's not even a line. That doesn't really interest me. I mean, if I want to watch that, there's a website I can go to.
Okay, that's all that is what you're saying. As opposed to the other where they're finding love.
Yeah, I mean they're just hooking up.
I bet the number of people who get invited on that show and turn it down is not high. ABC calls and goes, "Hey, Joe, we're thinking, yeah, sure, okay."
Yeah,
unless you're just tired of the cameras.
Yeah,
although I don't think these people ever get tired of the cameras.
Yeah, and I don't think these people are thinking about their future corporate career. They're just kind of living in the moment.
Yeah. Kind of last thing for today. Again, it's just camp. It's football. We'll eventually get to some games and scoreboards, reading zeros, and all that stuff. But what is a couple things that you're sort of looking at this week and into next week?
Well, today they're putting pads on. Wednesday they're putting full pads on. So it'll be interesting to see how physical they get, how in the parts that we get to see. Again, I'll be watching offensive linemen who looks different with pads on, positively or negatively. I'm interested to see. There's a lot of scrutiny on Michael Howard's ability to maintain his weight now that he's put some weight on.
285, Matt said.
He's at 285. He was on Friday. And they said that's kind of the bare minimum that you can be. Howard has great feet. He's very athletic. His technique is very good. And I said, so what's the significance of 285 as opposed to 305? I said, simple. At some point, on a light guy like that, relatively, they're going to bull rush him. And if it's just a matter of strength and weight and power and force and mass and stuff, If he can't handle the bull rush, well, then you're finished. Because now it makes the defense's job easy, bull rush. If he can handle a bull rush, which just means a guy coming straight at you, coming right through you. If he can handle that, well, then now he can play. And in the past, even though he's been one of their best offensive linemen from a technique standpoint, he was just too light. And a good SEC team would just bull rush him. And that's that. I mean, you know, you don't have to be a genius to figure this out. You can be tough as nails and strong as an ox, but if you're 260 and you're going up against a guy who's 305 and he also is tough as nails and strong as an ox, he's going to win.
That's fair. We'll see where that goes again Monday and Wednesday. Plenty of content at rebelgrove.com as it's time. We're here. Football getting closer. Again, 26 days away from the opener between Ole Miss and Memphis. Liberty Bowl, 11 a.m. for that one. And it will be somewhere between really, really hot and the surface of the sun, I have a feeling, on that turf that morning. Depth will play a factor.
Yeah, it's overwhelming odds that it's going to be super hot that day, midday on artificial turf.
Guys got to play. You're going to have cramps. It's going to be the first game to really test that football shape. You better have a lot of guys ready to go in some capacity.
Oh, yeah. I don't think you can play that game with 5 offensive linemen. I don't think that's a realistic expectation.
No, 7 or 8. Just to get in. Just to get a breath when you need it at different points.
Yeah.
They get really helped out by a guy like Royce Newman who can play guard and tackle. Move him around a little bit. Let him do some stuff to get some other guys some spells. And it sort of lets you alleviate that depth issue a little bit.
Yeah, same with Bryce Matthews.
Right, yeah.
His ability going down and play center. But I think they'd love for Eli Johnson to handle most of that center work.
Mm-hmm. Guest on the show as the week moves on, and we'll continue to talk about football. So head on over to rebelgrove.com, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.